She said, "I'm fine," and I believed her. She said she was fine. I nodded, smiled slightly, and went back to whatever I was doing. But deep down, something felt off. The room was quiet, too quiet, not peaceful, just empty, and that was my mistake. I believed the words instead of sensing the silence. I trusted the surface instead of questioning the stillness. The most dangerous words from a woman are the ones that sound harmless. "I'm fine. It's nothing. Don't worry about it." They're not answers. They're exits. They're warnings with no volume. But most men miss them because we're taught to listen for problems, not for pauses. We look for signs in words, not in presence. We think that as long as she's not yelling, things are okay. But the truth is, silence can scream louder than any voice. Women don't always express pain the way we expect. Sometimes they retreat, they disconnect, they test whether you'll notice the shift in tone, the hesitation in breath, the change in energy. And when you don't, it confirms what they feared, that you were never really paying attention. She didn't want a solution. She wanted to be seen. She didn't need an answer. She needed your full presence. And by the time you realize it, you're already talking to someone who stopped waiting. Are you listening, or just waiting for your turn to speak? Most men think they're good listeners. We nod, we give advice, we offer solutions, but here's the truth. Most of us miss. Listening is not about fixing. It's not about waiting for your chance to respond. It's about feeling what she's feeling, even when it doesn't make sense to you. Men are wired to solve problems. We hear a complaint, we reach for logic. We hear emotion, we tighten up and search for something that sounds reasonable. But women are not always asking for solutions, they're asking for space. Space to be heard, space to be felt. And when we rush to respond, we're not easing her pain, we're denying it. When you interrupt her pain with logic, you're not helping. You're invalidating everything she had the courage to open up. Imagine standing in front of someone holding a fragile glass, and instead of steadying their hands, you knock the glass away because you think it's too delicate to carry. That's what happens when you speak too soon. When you tell her you're overthinking it or just don't let it get to you, you're not calming the storm. You're walking away from it. Women often speak through tone, through silence, through hesitation. If you only listen to words, you'll miss what matters most. Her truth isn't always said directly. Sometimes it lives in the pause before she answers, in the sigh before she turns away, in the eyes that no longer search for yours. Listening is not about having the right reply. It's about noticing what isn't being said. It's about staying still when everything in you wants to solve or escape. Her trust doesn't grow when you win an argument. It grows when you make her feel safe enough to lose herself in front of you. So ask yourself honestly, are you really listening? Or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? Her emotions aren't linear, but they're always real. Men often struggle with what they can't map. We want things to follow patterns, to make sense, to connect like points on a graph. We look at emotions like they should rise and fall in a straight line. But women don't live emotionally in straight lines, and they move like waves, not wires. One moment she's laughing, the next she's quiet. One day she seems close, the next a little distant. And for many men that feels unstable, confusing, irrational. But here's the truth, her emotional shifts are not signs of manipulation. They're signals from deep within. Women don't fake feelings. They fake being okay. They suppress what they're feeling just enough to function, to keep the peace, to avoid being labeled too much, too sensitive, too emotional. But underneath that quiet is movement, energy, unresolved weight. And eventually, it surfaces. Carl Jung once wrote that the feminine psyche is more attuned to the unconscious. Women tend to process meaning in a way that pulls from memory, emotion, intuition. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of the chaos in the soul that gives birth to stars. What he didn't say is that most men avoid that chaos, while women are often forced to live inside it. They feel the undercurrents faster, they carry what we dismiss. So when a woman reacts in a way that feels too much, ask yourself, what don't you see? Because her emotion didn't appear from nowhere. It's rarely just about the one comment, the forgotten call, the small mistake. It's about accumulation. It's the weight of moments you brushed off, the pain you didn't notice, the changes you didn't acknowledge. You say she's overreacting, but maybe she's just overcaring. More than you realized, more than she could keep hiding. And now the pressure has to go somewhere. That's not weakness. That's overflow. And we've taught women to contain so much for so long. They explode in ways we don't understand because we never took the time to witness the buildup. Think about waves. They don't crash because of what's happening on the surface. They crash because of the force building beneath them. That's her emotion. Fluid. Deep. Shaped by tides you never saw. And if you expect her to always be calm, predictable, convenient, you're not loving her. You're managing her. And no one wants to be managed when they're breaking inside. What you call inconsistency might be the most honest thing about her. She's not pretending when she shifts. She's surviving, processing, adjusting to a world that tells her to be quiet about what hurts. So she tries, she contains until she can't. And when that moment comes, most men default to logic. We say, just explain it, just tell me, just calm down. But you cannot reason with what's been denied space to exist. You cannot analyze what was never meant to be dissected. Her emotion isn't a problem to solve. It's a language to learn. One that begins with presence, not precision. With patience, not pressure. If you wait for her to make sense before you listen, you'll always miss the moment. But if you sit with her in the fog, if you stop trying to guide her out and instead walk beside her in the dark, you'll discover something rare, an emotional truth so raw, it can't be faked, and so real, it can't be denied. Her emotions may not be linear, but they are real. Realer than the excuses you tell yourself to avoid facing them. So if she's shifting, don't ask why she's changing, ask what she's holding back. Because when you stop searching for logic and start showing up with presence, you'll stop seeing chaos and start seeing clarity. Silence is the language of despair, not peace. When she stops speaking, don't assume the storm has passed. Often, that silence is not a sign of peace. It's a sign of surrender. Not because she no longer feels, but because she no longer believes it matters. Silence is not the absence of emotion. It's the weight of too many emotions trapped behind lips that no longer trust the listener. Her silence isn't empty. It's loaded with everything she never felt safe to say. Every time she held her tongue to avoid conflict, every moment she tried to speak but saw your eyes glaze over. Every time she was told she was too much, too emotional, too sensitive. Silence builds like a wall, not one she wanted, but one she built for protection. And with each conversation she chose not to have, that wall got higher. At first, she raised her voice to be heard. Then she softened it to be accepted. Then she went quiet because even the softest truth started to echo in an empty room. She realized it wasn't that you didn't hear her. It's that you stopped listening. And that kind of silence, that's not peace. That's distance. That's despair in disguise. We often misread a woman's quietness as maturity, as grace, as emotional control. But what if it's just fatigue? What if it's the exhaustion of carrying unmet needs while pretending everything's fine? What if the silence you admire is really the warning you ignored? Men fear confrontation, but they should fear silence more. Confrontation means she still cares. Silence means she's already letting go. You won't always notice when she stops fighting, but one day, you'll wake up and realize the connection is gone and it didn't disappear overnight. It faded with every unspoken sentence, every unheard plea, every invisible tear. So if she's quiet now, don't celebrate the calm. Look closer. Because sometimes, silence isn't the space between words. It's the graveyard of everything she wished you had heard. Presence is a man's most powerful weapon. She doesn't need you to say all the right things. She needs to feel you there, fully there. Not just in the room, but in the moment. Not just hearing her, but feeling her. You don't need the perfect reply. You need the right presence. Because presence is what tells her you're not going anywhere. That her emotions won't scare you. That her vulnerability won't make you flinch. Most men panic when a woman becomes emotional. We go silent. We deflect. We walk away. But what she remembers most isn't what you said. It's whether or not you stayed. Real listening starts before words. It begins with a choice to be still, to drop the defenses, to stop waiting to speak. This is what I call active silence. It's the power to remain grounded even when her feelings are big, confusing, or raw. You don't interrupt. You don't judge. You don't rush. You just stay. Then comes the second step, naming what she's feeling. Not to correct it, not to fix it, but to show her that you see it. That she's not alone inside it. When she says she's tired, you say, "I can tell you're drained." When she says nothing's wrong, but her eyes say otherwise, you gently offer, "It looks like something's weighing on you." That small mirror you hold up, those few words can mean everything. Finally, the third step, accepting contradiction. Emotions don't always come in neat boxes, meh? She can love you and be angry. She can feel grateful and hurt. She can want space and want closeness at the same time. Your job isn't to make her choose one. Your job is to stand steady in the middle of that emotional paradox. That's where strength lives, not in control, but in capacity. Can you hold space for her confusion without needing to control it? Can you remain calm in her chaos without shutting it down? Most men try to lead by certainty, but women trust men who can hold uncertainty without falling apart. You think she left because of one argument? No. She left because of 1,000 little moments where she felt alone with you sitting right next to her. You were physically present, but emotionally absent. You were there, but you weren't with her. Presence is more than proximity. It's intention. It's eye contact. It's the way you put the phone down. It's the way you lean in when she starts to pull away. It's the way you don't change the subject when her feelings start to rise. She doesn't need you to solve her. She needs you to witness her. She needs to feel your attention like a warm coat around her shoulders, like shelter. And when she finds that, she softens. She trusts. She opens. Not because of what you say, but because of what you allow her to feel. Let me repeat that. Not because of what you say, but because of what you allow her to feel. Seen, heard, safe. Most men underestimate this. They think presence is passive, that it's doing nothing. But true presence is one of the most difficult things a man can offer. Because it requires everything: attention, humility, and stillness. and above all, emotional endurance. It takes strength to sit beside a storm and not try to stop the rain. It takes character to hear pain and not immediately try to fix it. It takes love to let her feel without making it about you. So if you're wondering how to be better for her, start here. Don't reach for better words. Reach for deeper presence. Let your silence be calm, not distance. Let your stillness be strength, not disinterest. Because long after she forgets what you said, she will remember how safe it felt to fall apart in your presence and not be left alone with the pieces. She doesn't need you to be a genius. She just needs you not to disappear when she's in pain. Most men think they have to impress her. Be smarter, be stronger, say the right things, solve the problem. But that's not what keeps a woman. That's not what heals her. That's not what makes her feel safe. She doesn't need a genius. She needs a witness. She doesn't need a solution. She needs someone who doesn't flinch when she's in pain. You don't have to understand everything she's feeling. You just have to be there when she feels it. Because most men don't lose their women from cheating. They lose them from not noticing her pain in time. From being too distracted or too defensive, too distant. Women don't shut down all at once. They shut down slowly. Conversation by conversation. Tear by tear. Day by day. Until one morning, she doesn't ask for more. She stops asking. She stops explaining. She stops trying to be understood. And by the time you realize she's gone, it's not because she wanted someone else. It's because she felt alone while lying right next to you. So stop thinking she needs the perfect version of you. What she needs is the real you, the one who stays, the one who listens when it's hard, the one who doesn't disappear when she's hurting. If she's still talking, there's still love. If she's silent, start listening before it's too late. Because in the end, she won't remember the times you got it right. She'll remember whether or not you were there when it mattered. So ask yourself one question. Are you present, or are you just there?